The Pukei-Pukei, the third monster you fight after the Great Jagras and the Kuluyaku in your playthrough of Monster Hunter World. Why I think it's such a great beginner monster, I will bring out a few points now, and you will enjoy them, you will eat them, and you will understand them, and then you're going to like and subscribe to my channel because I'm awesome, okay? But let's dive into them. The monster is a step up in complexity and difficulty from the Great Jagras and the Kuluyaku because it introduces at least two additional elements that you need to keep in mind during a hunt against more advanced beasts than the two beginner ones. But let's start with the design. Let's design with the design and the aesthetic of the monster. It has a colorful design that might make it a bit less intimidating. It doesn't have a lot of spikes on its back, so beginner players might not be that afraid of it. They might be fascinated by it, but they're not going to cower in fear in a bush. They are going to be curious and want to fight it. And it has a relatively small size, I think, which at the same time, because it's so small, it's not going to like have this intimidating factor. But its appearance is quite unique from what you've seen of the monster so far. It fits really well into the world and it kind of makes you curious about what is next, what else is going to be living in this ecosystem. And I think it is influenced by a real life reptile, at least. It kind of looks like a gecko, you know, it has these eyes that you would see in a gecko. I think the Great Jagras was like kind of like an iguana or a Komodo dragon. This one is more like a blop, 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 blop. So what I was introducing earlier, like two additional elements. First of all, like it has a diverse moveset. You know, it can fly, it can spin around, you know, it can hit you with different parts of its body or nap at you, but it can also throw poison, and I think that's the important part. It's a monster. The first one that introduces a status effect, poison. Poison is not that bad of a status effect because it just affects your health, you know, it takes it away over time. It's less deadly than paralysis per se, but it's still a really good element to introduce first, so you can notice, oh, I'm losing health, I need to manage my status effect. If I'm affected by a monster attack, I need to take some certain items with me to deal with the situation, in that case an antidote. So the game teaches beginning players, not only do you need to use potions to restore your health, because you suck and you get hit, but you need to take in antidotes to be able to restore your status to neutral. And the moveset of the monster, I think, is a bit more diverse than the one of the Great Jagras or the Kuluyaku that seem to, you know, follow certain patterns. The Pukei-Pukei seems to attack in a more diverse manner because, as I've said before, it can fly, it can hit you with multiple parts of its body, it can throw poison from the front of its mouth to the back of the tail. And speaking of the tail, the second element that this monster introduces is the part breaking effect. If you target a certain body part of a monster, in that case the tail, you're going to notice, oh shit, I can actually cut tails off of monsters. Kuluyaku and Great Jagras, you couldn't do that. You can do that with the Pukei-Pukei. You cut the tail off, you get rewarded. One, because you get more carving, more material to gather from the tail, and also it reduces the utility of the monster's tail. So that teaches the importance of aiming for certain body parts. And I think the area where you mostly find the Pukei-Pukei, it's still in the ancient forest. But it's not in these clearings, you know, these open areas that are relatively flat. No. Pukei-Pukei is fought deeper in the forest, where you have more uneven terrain. You have some hills, you have some ledges. There's more going on in the environment than relatively flat terrain. So you have to learn at the same time to deal with your opponent being a complex monster and your environment being equally as complex, and maybe using certain elements of the decor like environmental traps that will help you deal with the threat that is posing. The monster is... Ah, look, I'm a wyvern and I have 4 fingers. The Pukei-Pukei introduces a lot of what you're going to find later on and prepares you for bigger threats. And that is really cool, I think. To have this beginner monster that has so many elements from further in the game, and that really asks you to be familiar with it. And that is something that you're going to discover a bit more with the Baroth, right? That you're going to fight next. That will be in the next video, you're on higher ranks, maybe you will have a showdown with the monster again, and maybe this time it's going to kick your ass because you underestimate how powerful it truly is when it uses all of its arsenal with an even better artificial intelligence. And as I've said, it's a really creative monster in its design, and it's going to open your mind to think about what is next. What monsters will I encounter next and have to learn from? Oh yeah, and something that I forgot to mention is that at the same time, the Pukei-Pukei, you know, it's complex, but it has two weak points. It has the head and the tail. Both hands of the monsters are relatively sensitive, and because you hit the tail so much, you will end up chopping it, and that is how you learn that you can chop tails. So what did you think about the Pukei-Pukei? Was it a nice monster to fight? Did you enjoy having to deal with poison? Just let me know in the comments below, and it will be a pleasure for me to read. I'll see you on the Barrow video. Cheers!